I was devastated because I thought, oh, shit, that's out. I'm done.
Mm.
So I had to call the organisers and say, sorry, I'm out. I'm in the hospital. I end up being in there for a week because they had to film it. Oh, it was so hard when I got up from my op. I had this amazing six pack. And then when I got up from the op, I just looked at my stomach. It was a big fat belly, and I'm like, oh. I'd go and train down there, and because I was just starting to walk and just starting to have the notion I wanted to compete, um, but I was still struggling. I still had immense pain down my leg. The burning was insane, and sometimes I'd physically stop walking. Like my nerves had to explain. I'd take a few steps and I'd actually just stop, and I'd be there for like 10 seconds. I wouldn't be able to move, and then 10 seconds later I could go again. I wanted to win an Australian title, and I said I've never won an Australian title. I've placed third, placed second. But the thing about Josh, he helped me a lot because he knew I didn't want to give up. He knew I gave it my all, and he had to physically help me get into the leg press. He had to physically help me get out of the leg press, and I was still doing those weights with the drop sets and the negatives.
He's a champion bodybuilder, actually Superman, a superhero, an IFBB Australian lightweight champion, and nothing can break him attitude. Can't do cartwheels if your life depended on it though. Tips galore, more tips on top of those tips. If you want it, he will not only get you there, but take himself there first. Please help me welcome the blonde bombshell himself, Jason Nakhla.
I haven't had an intro like that before, I don't think.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to one day someone doing an intro for me. So I hope there will be an intro soon.
Good.
So look, let's.
Yes.
You said there's a funny story. Tell us a funny story about becoming a bodybuilder. Go for it.
Okay. So I initially never thought I was going to be a bodybuilder. I never really planned to be one. Started as a kid, just loved all my favorite superhero was He-Man, Master of the Universe, the original series back in the 80s. So anyone's old enough to remember that.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. He just had muscles upon muscles upon muscles.
Yep.
Just loved that physique. I was into wrestling when I was a kid, so any of the wrestlers had amazing bodies. I was just in awe of anyone, male or female, had amazing bodies. I was just always drawn to that. I don't know why, but it just was. And I remember one day my dad showed me a video of Lee Haney when he came to Australia. He was on the Ray Martin show, on the Midday Show, and he taped it for me. And that just blew my mind. I can still picture it today. I can still remember it clear in my head.
Yeah.
Just how he looked, how amazing, the symmetry, super tiny waist. I believe it was 80 centimeter waist for a guy who weighs about 115 kilos. Super impressive. He's one of my favorite bodybuilders of all time, and that sort of got me into bodybuilding. But I'd be reading the mags, all the bodybuilding mags, looking at their programs and what they're eating and how they're training and all that sort of stuff. And I remember reading an article that compared a short bodybuilder with a tall bodybuilder, and I remember reading it, and it said if the short bodybuilder and the tall bodybuilder are exactly the same as far as the symmetry, muscle density, just everything, their balance overall, but they're exactly equal, but they'd probably give it to the taller guy because he look a little more impressive. So then and there, that kind of shot bodybuilding off for me because I'm not even 5'4", so that kind of destroyed the actual notion of being a bodybuilder, as well with the fact that my folks scared the shit out of me as far as the drug side of it was concerned. Drugs and AIDS were the two things they scared. So I didn't want to have anything to do with the drugs, anything to do with like getting AIDS. So I was literally scared of those things. So I just loved training. So I went and trained really, really hard and always pushed myself, but didn't see myself as a bodybuilder. The funny thing was, as I became a PT down the track, I had a female client. She wanted to compete. And I said, you know what? I said, I practice what I preach. And at the time, I was honest with her. And I said, you know what? I've never actually seen a bodybuilding show. I don't know what they do. I don't know, I just didn't know how it worked exactly. So we sort of made a pact, and then basically she said if I could do one show and see what I can learn from it, and then she would do the next one. So I sort of agreed to that.
But tell me
So it was
something
supposed to be a
first.
one
Tell me
time.
something.
Yeah.
Was she going to assign you to train her, or were you talking about it? Because it sounds like she was going to assign you to train her, but you thought, well, let me go have a go at this so I can come back and train you properly. Is that what it was?
Oh no, it was doing both. So the training I knew
Mm.
because I mean, it was immensely into bodybuilding,
Mm.
even though I didn't, actually, consider myself one. I'm a small guy, as an adult, to give an indication, I was a very small frame. So as an adult, I was 54 kilos. So,
Mm.
spent all my 20s in that sort of range, trying to put on weight, trying to eat a lot of shit at night deliberately just to put kilos and those bulking products and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, my metabolism was so fast back then, and I used to do a lot of sports
Mm.
and martial arts
Mm.
and gym and everything else.
Mm.
So I walked around looking like Bruce Lee, So I was just like ripped to shreds, but yeah, paper thin from the side.
Mm.
So it took me quite a while. I think my metabolism slowing down, better knowledge, persistence with eating,
Mm.
and just expanding my knowledge in every area and giving myself more time. With the notion of obviously getting older now, so I'm 47 now,
Mm.
and my metabolism definitely slowed down. Heaps, especially after 2020, where we won't get into that.
Mm.
But yeah, my body's just changed since then. But no, I was actually training her because she wanted to lose. Initially, when she came and saw me, she wanted to lose weight for a wedding. She wanted to lose 30
Mm.
kilos. Um, she had an interesting story herself. She had polycystic ovary syndrome and was not supposed to be able to conceive. So her doctor said, if she loses weight, she might have a slim chance of being able to conceive. And yeah, she did lose the 30 kilos. She's now like a mum of three.
Whoa, good
And she's got
stories.
so and she's forgotten all about me now. She's got her kids because they're her absolute love. Um, but it was so rewarding. Like with this girl, the funny story about her when she had two gym memberships before she met me. She trained with another trainer. She wouldn't rock up to any of the gyms. Just had no motivation to do, to go in and do what you need to do.
Yep.
Even initially when I was working, she was whinging all the time. All the other trainers would make fun of me, all because I would hear her whinging from the other side of the gym. And
Mm.
she was literally the weakest girl I've ever met and trained with. She couldn't do a push up. She couldn't do a body weight squat. She couldn't do anything. She used to love kickboxing. She used to punch me, and I said, "Oh, in the early days, I just didn't hold the pad. You just can just punch me in the tummy,
Oh yeah.
and let's go for it." And in the end, yeah, it took her a little while to turn around, but when she came and saw my show, it changed her heaps, and
Wow.
she changed because she's like, I gave her a basic diet, like just a three meals a day diet. She wouldn't even follow that, and then she kept hassling me. It's like, oh, can you write me a meal plan like what you did for the show? And I
Mm.
said, nah, this is pretty complex, and I'm eating 6 times a
I
day,
know.
uh, and the strict times. I said, oh, you can't even follow a basic 3 times a day, basic
Mm.
meals. There's no way you're just going to waste my time. And she kept nagging me, and I'm like, nah. But I did it, and then I think the first week she just lost 1.5 kilos, and then she just from there, yeah, she just lost those 30 kilos. Started to hit PB after PB. She just changed dramatically. Like I get her doing body weight squats, and then straight into body weight squats. We'll superset that
Mm.
with I'd get some Thai pads, and she'd do 10 roundhouse kicks straight after a squat set. And she was squatting above body weight, so she got pretty strong, pretty
Wow,
thick.
good story.
Turned into
Yeah.
an absolute machine. And this was the girl who was whinging, and all the other trainers were making fun of me. I'm thinking, oh, I'm not sure how long this is going to last, but she did really well. She just turned it around, turned her life around. She used to have a drinking problem, got rid of that.
Did she
She
ever
has
did
to
she ever end up competing?
No, because the funny thing was, the night of my comp,
Yeah.
she must have got too inspired. That was when they went and conceived
Ah,
that day,
that's what
or
happens,
that
mate.
night, I
That's what
should
happens
say.
when you flex. When you
And
flex in front of them, they all go
yeah,
conceive, mate. I don't know if
Oh, mate, there was a funny,
that can go in many ways. The flexing.
yeah, yeah.
Go on.
Oh, there was a hilarious story even to that. We became friends with my wife and her partner, and we went out to see comedian in Melbourne at the comedy festival. And we were sitting, I think, second row from the front, and he started talking to her. He said, "Oh, who's this? Oh, that's my husband." And he said, "Oh, who's the guy on your left?" And he said, "Oh, that's my personal trainer. He's the reason I'm pregnant." And I'm like,
Ah.
and I was like, as soon as said that, oh my God, there was like 10, 15 minutes of material for him right there. So
I tell you what, we're
yeah.
going to exploit that material now, mate. You're going to be known as the personal trainer that can help people conceive. You're going to be
No,
you're going to
well,
be the conceiving
yes,
personal trainer.
yes. Well, I am a personal trainer, but I don't know if my service is that personal. But
Oh, mate,
yeah,
don't worry. We'll exploit you to the point of making sure me and Chris monetize this well. We'll do anything for monetizing. Well, I actually I appreciate that story, and I did have that question because I did watch your inspirational video. Now, your inspirational video is very inspirational, and if anyone hasn't watched it out there, go to Jason's, personal page. I believe it is on, but I'm going to elaborate with you in person on our podcast. So let's just and you spoke about the client and the bodybuilding show. I mean, firstly, who does that? But I'm just reading my notes here. So, are you the type of person that likes to practice what he preaches? Is that what you are?
100%. Like I said that earlier, even like with my client when she wanted to do a comp,
Yep.
I know I can just Google stuff,
Yep.
and anyone can Google it. That doesn't make me an expert.
Mm.
So, before I advise anyone of anything, it doesn't matter if it's an exercise, meal, training,
Yep.
tips,
Yep.
what anything to do with life in general. But yeah, I have to know what I'm talking about. I have to have done it myself, lived it, just understand it at least. Yeah, before I say anything. So otherwise, I don't feel that what I say has much value, or that's just how I see myself.
That's a great trait. I like
Yeah.
the practice that you preach, but the thing is, you ended up winning 2 trophies on your first show. Who does that? Come on, tell us what this is like. We're talking about dieting. Like you must.
Yeah.
Did you ever wonder what the hell's going on here? Like, what the fuck am I doing?
Um, it was my first comp was obviously the hardest, but there was an interesting story even behind
Yeah,
that.
go on.
I nearly didn't make it to the show. If anyone wants to physically read, I have on my Facebook business page, it's just Jason Nakhla.
Yep.
I have got my story actually written out in more detail than the YouTube and TikTok video.
Good.
So I go into it a little bit more.
Hey guys, Steve here from Muscle Talks. I just want to say thank you for you guys being here. Thank you for watching this podcast. What I'd really love is for you guys to hit the subscribe button. Why hit the subscribe button? It'll just allow us to have a bigger reach, allow us to go get a bigger audience, and also bring you the best of the best here. Our goal here is to not only get our local people, but also international, and eventually, and hopefully, and will be bringing the Olympians to this station, Muscle Talks podcast. So please hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell. So every time our podcast is launched weekly, that you get notified and you can sit back and enjoy this. Thanks, guys.
But the funny story about the first comp was I understood bodybuilding, but in the same token, not getting on stage. Like those last 2 weeks in particular is where it differs from from the everyday Joe Blow type of meal plan sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a few tricks you can do with water loading, salt loading, carb loading, etc. All those sorts of things. So that was new to me. But the thing was, I I came in so ripped. I was so early in condition. 2 weeks before the show, I was working with a guy, I think it was Brad Dolman at I've gone blank, Good Life. He was helping with my posing.
Yep.
So I sucked at posing. So I had to invest a lot of time and money in myself as far as the posing side of it was concerned. And I remember 2 weeks before the show, went and saw him posed. He was super impressed and couldn't believe how ripped I was. He was kind of showing me off to everybody. And I left feeling good, and went back home that night. In the middle of the night, about 2 a.m., I just woke up and I was just immense pain. My wife had to call an ambulance, and basically my appendix was about to burst. And they were infected, and they had to come out. And they said, "Oh, they've got to come out." And I'm like, "Oh, but I'm doing a show in 2 weeks. Can I do it after the show?" They said, like, "No, it's about to burst now. It's yeah, you're very close to it bursting, so you got to do it." So I was devastated because I thought, "Oh shit, that's out. I'm done."
Mm.
So I had to call the organisers and say, "Sorry, I'm out. I'm in the hospital. I end up being in there for a week because they had to film it." Oh, it was so hard when I got up from my op. I had this amazing six pack. Then when I got up from the op, I just looked at my stomach. It was a big fat belly, and I'm like, "Oh."
Mm.
I felt like I was pregnant. I was like, what's going on here? And they told me they had to put a lot of fluid in there to flush out the pus. And so I was in there for a week. And then they took out the stitches a week before showing. I messaged the organizer and I said, "Look, I know this is the last cutoff date, but is there any chance, we could extend it a little bit? And, if there's any chance for me to make it to the show." And she gave me a couple of days. This was like with A&B, it was my first show. And yeah, she was lovely, gave me those couple of extra days. And every single day I was losing a little bit of fluid, a little bit of fluid. I couldn't train, I couldn't do anything. I got kicked out of maternity ward because I didn't know where I was going, and I was like on a mission. Every day I had to do an hour walk, and I just wanted to go up the stairs, for a bit of exercise.
And that was the ARB,
Um,
the comp was ARB, is that correct?
A and B, A and
A
B,
and B. Oh, sorry.
A and B,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Australian
So yeah,
Natural Bodybuilding.
so you got there in the end, obviously.
I got there in the end. I got my two trophies.
Oh
So yeah,
gosh.
so and I heard that was kind of unheard of. You generally don't do too well in your first
Mm,
shows. But I was, to be honest, I wasn't nervous. Like, sounds really strange. Yeah, I don't really get nervous for any of my shows.
hmm
Um, the only one I ever slightly felt, and it's not really nervous, but I felt these butterflies was when I did the Arnolds. Because the thing with the Arnolds is like for so many years, I've been on the other side,
mm,
and just watching
mm,
watching people on stage.
mm,
And I remember my wife and I, we were there early in the morning as the competitors are there before everything opens up.
hmm
And I remember the place was empty, and I'm just looking at the stage. I just got these butterflies, their hair standing on my neck, and I said, "Wow, I can't believe I'm going to be on the other side." It was such an exciting, exhilarating sort of feeling. And yeah, I've never had that in any other show.
Why do
But
you think? Why do you think the Arnold show made you feel
yeah, I
nervous?
think there's just something about the Arnold's. It's even like the name. Like, for
The
example,
name.
not too many people are into bodybuilding.
Mm,
Bodybuilding's a very small sport in many respects. It doesn't have a huge
it's
following.
true.
And like I could speak to anybody about bodybuilding, yeah. But you mentioned, "Oh, I'm going to the Arnold's on the weekend," or "I'm to the Arnold's." Oh
Anything to
yeah,
do
and
with
everybody
Arnold? Yeah.
knows it, and because the other sports as well, and they got the other activities and sports and everything
Yeah.
else, and so like I've got friends who are fighters and boxers,
Mm,
weightlifters, whatever, powerlifters. So there's all sorts of people out there, and it's an awesome environment. I remember feeling like a celeb coming, walking around off stage, and everybody's like wanting some pictures with me and this and that. And you're just bumping into people, left, right, and center, and people have maybe been following me,
mhm.
and I, not realizing that they're my followers as well and stuff like that, and introducing themselves. So it's a cool. It's definitely probably the coolest show I've ever done. It was also the only one I walked away with uh, no no placing as such. I missed
Mm.
out by one place. I'm going to say it was controversial. Anyone who was there will know. But we won't get into that. We've seen it over the years in bodybuilding. Not
Success lives in powerful bodies. And the powerful bodies are fueled by the best.
threeog.shop.
some things, yeah, don't always seem right. But
So you've
um,
predominantly won in all your shows, and that one, well, it doesn't matter about placing,
no,
but the thing is, oh look, I talked to Chris a little bit about competitions. You know what? There's
mm,
so many variables. It's not funny, and there's probably hidden variables we don't know. But the
yeah,
fact is, you turned up, you did the Arnold's, and I think you because I'm going to we'll stop there because I am going to ask you about all the comps you've been in, because you've been in quite a few comps. But tell me something
Yep.
which
Yeah.
I'm not saying you hide well, because it's not about hiding it. You are blind, yes? And
I'm legally
yeah,
blind.
legally blind.
Yep.
Legally blind, sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
What
Yep.
is albinism? Is that right? And sight 6/60. What does that all mean? Because I heard it.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was born with albinism. So albinism. Yeah. Albinism is means that I lack pigmentation. So that's why I have the skin coloring that I do. So apparently, my man discovered Australia. They say that. But the thing is, like, there's 5 different types of albinism. So there's some albinos who have regular sight, for example, but still have no pigmentation. I can't remember the 5. I've gotten a bit rusty with these over the years. I just don't give a shit anymore.
Of course, why would you?
I've been living with it for so many years, and it doesn't really mean that much to me. It's not going to change my world. So yeah, but basically my vision is bad as well. So I do lack the pigmentation, but I also have, my vision is 6/60. So what that means is, like, if a person has 20/20 vision, it's like perfect vision, if you like. But for me, what you would see, let's say at 60 meters ahead, I would have to be standing 6 meters to see the same thing that you're looking at.
So 60 meters is equivalent for you 6 meters of vision.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So I'd have to be super close to see that same object. So that means I'm very, very short-sighted, which means technically, I'm not allowed to drive. Well, I can't get a license, like all that kind of stuff. Anyone who sees me knows, I have driven cars. I've been on racetracks. Got a scooter.
You've been on racetracks,
Yes, I've done 200 kilometers down the straight. I'm a biggest petrol head. If I had proper sight, I would love to be in like a supercar.
All right. Are you Ford or Holden?
No, Holden, man.
You know what? You fucking look Holden, man. Fuck. I'm Ford. Sorry, bro. I'm
sorry, man.
I'm the Dick Johnson era, bro.
Yes, no, I was in the Brocky and Perkins and all that sort of stuff.
Lowndes came to Ford for a little while, but anyway, that's look, you know what? The podcast, it was great talking to you, mate. And just joking. Of course, Holden, it's all good. It's all good. So, when you say you raced around the track, like you were driving.
This is going to be a weird thing.
You were driving.
This is going to be a weird thing. This is going to be a weird thing to sort of explain to people. So, I've actually got a VK Commodore as well, modified thing, and it's so weird. Like
is it like a Group A? You done it like a Group A, the VK?
It's got a custom body kit on it. It's got custom rims, custom paint color, custom body kit. So I couldn't even tell you what it looked like. I remember one time getting pulled over by the police, and they didn't know what model to put it under, because so it's a bit unique. But anyway, we won't get into that. But
I'm too afraid to say side gags in your site now. I'm just I don't know what to say. Right. Like I didn't see it coming or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's all right. No, it's all good. I don't find that
we could lose the ratings just by me bagging the hell out of you right now. But I think the Holden part we've ruined a lot of fans anyway. But go ahead.
Well, I think we're going to gain a few and lose a few. I think.
All right, mate. You're a funny guy too. But that's so okay. So you got to tell us about the racing. Come on, finish it off.
All right. So basically, my site's really strange. So there were some things I will see bigger things like. So if I'm in a car and on the track, I can see the other cars ahead. I can see the track. But if you ask me to read the dash, or if somebody's making faces at me, or a forward bloke sticking his fingers up, maybe at me as he's passing by or something, I might not be able to see that, So if you did that, but somebody just gestures, like a lot of drivers might gesture with their face and signals. So I'm not going to see those things. Road signs. I will see the signs, but I won't be able to read them.
All right. So
Traffic lights, I can have trouble depending on the color of the sky. It's a bit complicated,
okay,
but yeah,
okay,
there are some times where I can see
okay.
them, sometimes where I can't. So yeah, it's a bit confusing.
Mm.
And I do have a scooter which I get around on and stuff as well sometimes. So,
Wait.
but I
But
have fallen
you
off.
said, do you have a license?
No, no. But it's on the racetrack. So
Oh, okay, on the
once a
racetrack.
year,
I thought because for
yeah,
a moment I thought you were living my life because that's how I live. But that's another story.
I have. How do I say this? I've been pulled over many times, shall I say? So yeah,
You're actually yeah, you would have been a worse rebel had you had complete sight. In other words, I'd be talking to you from a jail cell if you had your complete eyesight. And
well, I hope not.
it'd
I just
probably
like
be
having
mostly
fun, but
speeding offences and reckless driving.
well, hopefully I would have been a race car driver, so I'd have my outlet. So
Okay, well,
yeah,
you would have
and
been
just drive it.
okay. Well, I wouldn't have gone
Yeah,
for you, by the way, because you're driving Holden. So, mate, it's not. You wouldn't have been my fan. I would, I
No,
wouldn't have.
I
Maybe I
was
would have
kind of
known
neat for
of
now.
you, but I wouldn't have been.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be wearing your t-shirts.
yeah, no.
Okay,
That's right. We can
so
keep going with those ones.
let's. What was
We
let?
veered off the track a little bit.
Oh no, because we've spoke about the eyesight and the 60
Yeah,
by 60, and we've talked
yeah.
about albinism, but there's still I got 13 questions, mate. We've got to get through the questions too,
Yeah,
So
go for it. Go for
so and they tie into, well, we're not going to talk about Holdens anymore, so I'm just letting you know, fuck that. That's not happening.
it.
And we're not going to talk about car racing because it's a
I could do
Muscle
a whole
Talks
podcast on
podcast,
that.
buddy. So we're not going to talk about cars.
Yeah.
But mind you, I'm
Okay.
letting you know, champion, I have
Yes.
an XR8 BA by
Okay.
it's a wait a minute. John Bow special.
Okay.
John Bow
Oh,
special.
okay.
And
Yep.
Ford badges, they have
Mm.
they're blue, they're blue.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, my
Yep.
badges are red. So the badges
Okay.
are red.
Yeah.
So very rare,
Yeah.
mate. So BA XR8
Yeah.
John
Yeah.
John Bow special. So
Just on a side note, he drives Holdens now.
I don't want to hear it. Who?
John Bower, he drives a Toronto now in the Masters. It's true.
Yeah, but
He's been taught the last couple of
yeah,
years.
but if you've seen John Bow, he doesn't even know.
So
Have you seen John Bow? He doesn't even know his own name. He's senile, mate. Only joking. John Bow.
he knows how
John,
to race a car. Can't be
John,
that
I bought the
Anyway.
fucking car to make money. I'm hoping it's an asset, like a growing, not a
Yeah.
appreciation, not depreciation. So
No.
John,
No.
John,
Yeah.
John,
Uh,
isn't there a meme that says something like John? Anyway, let's keep the.
Sorry to shatter that one for you.
No, mate. You've so far.
I'm very sorry. You can tell.
I really, and you thought you didn't want to spoil my podcast. You just did. You
No,
just did,
no.
by the way. Let's keep the challenges going. As a teenager,
Okay.
diagnosed with the Schumann's disease as well. Explain that one, buddy.
Yeah. So Schumann's disease is basically a curvature of the spine. So it means kind of like leaning forward. So some people have scoliosis. So scoliosis is a bend, but it's usually a lateral, so to the side.
Yep.
Whereas mine is just more like forward. Apparently, people like Gary Ablett and had that, and it's like it sort of gives you bad posture because you just want to constantly be hunched over,
Okay.
and it's actually almost more painful and seems like hard work to actually be standing upright. So I have to work a lot with physios and stuff like that to try and improve my back, and yeah, and that's what sort of helped. But it also led down to other issues down the track,
Mm-hmm.
which is in my story. So
Got it all here,
yeah,
mate.
so
Okay.
so yeah, and that led to things basically neck issues and back issues. I was supposed to have neck surgery and back surgery.
Well, wait.
So
Let me ask that question because we're going to keep going. We're going to
okay,
roll
okay,
with the Jason punches. We're going to roll with the Jason
okay,
punches. Fused back. Wait, let me finish. Prolapse discs. I got
yeah.
RSI writing this down, by the way. Told you'd never train again. Wait a minute. 3 years
Yeah,
out of work.
yeah,
taped up by physios, pins and needles, collar around your neck, told you never train again. We've already said that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And you mentioned that was your hard, and not training, not training was the hardest news. Doesn't matter what they said. That was your hardest news. What the fuck? You love training. It means a lot to you. Why? And with all that, tell me why.
I don't know. Like, it's such a weird thing, and I can kind of. It might sound a bit strange to say this, but I can feel and relate to Ronnie Coleman's story a fair bit. As I wish I said I had his strength and his success, but you know, I've always loved pushing myself to the max. You know, there's something about you know, training so hard and just maxing out, and you know that you've given it all, and there's nothing left. And I've just, even when I wasn't a bodybuilder, that's just the way I wanted to train. I love that as a challenge. And when you live through the other side, you're like, oh, that was
So
tough.
are you also a little bit of and maybe with bodybuilding, but are you a little bit like an adrenaline junkie too? You just like to exhaust yourself, like scare yourself, push yourself. There's no limits to you.
No,
Okay.
not as in adrenaline, more as in I find the challenge rewarding. So I know some people might say that could be like an adrenaline, you get an adrenaline from that. But in my case, I don't see it that way. I just see that I've always, I just love to challenge and progressive. So in my training style, I like to obviously progressive overload and to just keep continuously making yourself that bit better, and you're doing that a little bit more each time. I've also been fortunate enough where I've become two friends with two world champs in bodybuilding, and one was the 7-time Australian champ, 3-time Mr. Universe, Sammy Ioannidis.
Yep.
So he was a big legend in the sport here, as you know, huge in the 80s. And then obviously big Josh Lewanowitz as well.
We're going to talk about,
you know,
make sure you bring up Ioannidis, but also I've got Josh here. But like, why? What is it about training? Why was the worst news for you after all that you knew?
For me, I think it's just because it's been a big part of my life. You know, I've done it. Like, I've been training over 30 years now, and on my first 10 years, in hindsight, probably sucked. Now when I think back, it probably wasn't. You know, the form wasn't good, and I probably wrecked my body doing things I shouldn't be doing and trying to lift too heavy. And I was, in a weird way, I was kind of freakishly strong for my size. Like, I know I would be lifting weights that guys 30 kilos heavier than me would not be able to lift. And so a lot of the bigger guys are looking at my numbers and go, oh, one day I want to get to that. And, you know, and I'm like, before I was a PT, I was actually a very private person. I was actually very covered up when I trained. I didn't like anyone looking at me. And it was weird because, like, if I'm doing, like, I used to be able to squat, like, say, 5 plates, for example, for reps. I could, but basically when it came to squats and deadlifts, I would do 3 times my body weight for reps. It's usually 10 reps. And bench was double my body weight. And sometimes I'd notice I'd do a set after, like, my squats or something like that. And then, it's like the whole gym is just, like, stopped and started watching me. And I'd actually find that really embarrassing. I was like, shit, turn around, you know, there's nothing to see here. Just go about your business, you know. But it's kind of weird because now I'm a PT. I was like, oh, shit, this is part and parcel. Like, you're inspiring people. People are watching you because, you know, they want to learn from you, or they're getting inspired from you, or they want to see how you train, and, you know, and they want to make sure my videos that I'm posting up is the same, like, you know, what I'm doing in the actual gym.
They're very good. They're good, very good. How long have you been a PT?
I've been doing it close to on and off for 15 years, a little while. So, yeah.
15 years?
Probably last 10 years.
Wait a minute.
10 years, seriously?
Yeah, no, 15 years. It was probably the beginning of personal trainers, the industry being taken more seriously and taking off.
Yeah.
I was a personal trainer too, right?
Okay.
But I trained no one. I did train a girl once, but I liked her and I was trying to I don't get it or like me. But I,
Okay.
excuse me, I had a good job.
Yeah.
I'm Greek. I have 3 jobs, and to
Okay.
go
Yep.
get a personal, oh my God, I had every license under the sun. I had a liquor license. I had
Yeah.
a personal trainer certificate,
Yep.
registration. I had security, and I was a network engineer, and that was the only one I didn't have a certificate for. I was
Okay.
in IT, and I didn't even have a certificate for that.
Yeah.
But it was just quiet. Not many people needed personal trainers. We didn't think we needed
No.
personal. But when you talk about 15 years ago, that was kind of when it
Yeah.
all started, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. There wasn't much work around, and that's why I said, yeah, it wasn't really serious. Probably last 10 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, take out the last couple of years
Yeah.
where there
Yeah.
was
Of
nothing going
course.
on.
Yeah. Of
But
course. Yes.
yeah. But yeah, around 10 years properly. But yeah, yeah. I kind of it's ironic because sometimes I go around and I give tips to some people, and some people are so grateful, and then there are some people that just like they just want to tell it F off, and it's like I'm like, man, I don't understand that. You're getting free advice from somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Man, I would have killed for that in my day, when I was still learning. Hey, even if somebody's better than me now, I'm still open for suggestions and stuff like that.
Well,
I
yeah.
believe you never stop learning.
Well, if you look,
Yeah,
I'll give you a tip. Go for
yeah.
forwards. There's your tip. There's
I
if
knew
you,
you were gonna. How did I know you were gonna say that?
oh, you set me
I
up
felt
for it,
that.
buddy. I was coming in when you said you'll take advice. I'll give you some advice.
Yeah,
Get rid of the Holden.
yeah.
But that's
No, no.
no.
I only listen to sound advice.
Okay, but I agree with you. But tell me something as we move
Thank
along
you.
with more questions. You've
Yeah,
done a few comps. You
yeah,
mentioned all federations pretty much. Tell us all
yeah,
the comps, your placings,
yeah,
prep
yeah,
condition, everything. Tell us. Go from
yeah,
the beginning to most recent. Go
yeah.
for it.
Yep. Okay, so I started bodybuilding very late. So my very first show, I could have actually entered as a master. So it was probably like what I was alluding to earlier. I never saw myself as a bodybuilder, but everyone kept calling me a bodybuilder.
Mhm,
So and eventually sort of went down that road.
mhm,
So my first comp was A and B. And yeah, so yeah, basic. So I ended up being Victorian champion. Actually, no, so my very first show, I won I placed third,
mhm,
and I won most inspirational male.
mhm.
Um, but then I competed with them again 3 more times,
Yep.
and each of those years I was Victorian champion.
Mhm,
I've also competed with IMBA.
mhm,
I think again about 3 times as well, and um, yeah, Victorian champion in all of those. And in my last one, I won Victorian champ and Masters as well.
mhm.
I think it was 2018, I think it
Yep.
was. I'd have to, and yeah, I've competed with WFF again. Again, Victorian champion in that one as well. So yeah, and then I end up. It's strange because I've always been on the natty side, so um, I've always sort of been with the natty feds. But then the interesting thing for me, oh yeah, sorry, after IMBA they became ICN,
Mhm,
so I also won with them, and I had a chance with ICN. They had I won the Victorians, and I was going to do the Australian show, which was in the fitness. Well, I think they called it the fitness show
mhm,
in the exhibition building.
mhm,
So I thought that was going to be a good opportunity. But the thing was, I was also doing IFBB for the first time, and there was like 1 week in between each. So I would have been like, I would have had 4 weeks in a row. So I would have had ICN VIX, ICN, oh, sorry, IFBB
mhm,
VIX. Then I would have had the ICN
mhm,
Nationals, and then I would have had the IBB Nationals. And just at the last second, I pulled out of the ICN
mhm,
Nationals and just sort of wanted to put all my eggs into one basket because I thought you kind of really want to just peak, have your absolute peak at one show, I think.
mhm,
I'm not an expert in it. Maybe somebody can tell me otherwise, but
mhm,
my approach was, yeah, like I just want to be an absolute peak for one. And if I'm peaked a little bit early,
mhm,
then it might be a bit smaller for the next show, or, might be, yeah, I could be wrong,
mhm.
but that was my approach. So I missed out on doing the nationals there. I looked back later at the ICN nationals and I thought, not being big headed, but I thought, yeah, I probably would have won that too if I'd gone in there.
Mm.
But so anyway, but the IPB one was a funny story because like I said, I um, when I was doing the ICN, I won a few times, and I think Vicky's the head judge there, and a few people, sometimes when my first few shows, they give you improvements, like what to work on.
Yes, of course.
And so I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'm up for that because we can always get better. And, I don't take it as a personal thing, especially when there's people who know what they're talking
Of
about,
course.
people from Keyboard Warriors, that I'll ignore. But yeah, people who know what they're talking about in the industry, yeah, I'm going to appreciate their advice. So I take that stuff on board. And then my last show where I won the Vics and the Masters, at the same with ICN, I remember reading the feedback and it pretty much said they couldn't find anything bad. And it's like, just keep doing what I'm doing, keep more building muscle. And so I sort of felt like for me, I sort of reached the top. So I wanted an extra challenge. And then one of my other fellow competitors, also in ICN, he said he competed at IFBB, the other show, and he could play second. And I'm like looking at him and go, what? How can you play second? I mean, because when you're natty guys, and like I imagine all the IFBB guys are monsters,
Yeah.
and I'm like, how the hell did you play second? And I've beaten you, So, so I was like, maybe, and this could be a go. And then some other people started talking to me and saying like, he goes, like, it's good what I've achieved in the other federations, but he goes, around the world, people don't know those federations. They don't really mean anything. Whereas like IFBB's international,
Yeah.
and you mention that, and it's like everybody knows it. And sort of started planting seeds in my head. And I'm going, oh, okay. And I've had my friend who's competed. I've had a few trainers and other friends saying this sort of thing, and I'm like, okay. And then I found out there was classic physique, and I'm like, oh, that's cool because there's like a height and weight thing for that. So that'll be perfect for me because I'm not a big guy, so that'll suit me, and I reckon I'll win there. And so I went there, and then I'd done that, and then I also found out it was the first time I didn't realize there was a weight class in the IFBB.
Yep.
I said, oh, cool. So I'll do the under 70s, and I was surprised. I was not confident of the under 70s at all because I said all the guys are, again, they're just going to be massively round and huge. And so the funny story was on the day, I think there were so many competitors. I don't know what the story was, but in the classic physique, instead of grouping us in our groups, they just chucked us in all together. So it was like 30 plus. I can't remember how many people there. I think it was 6 lines to 5. And we're there, I can't remember, close to an hour by the time we do all the rotations and stuff. And that was hard work. And I think I placed nowhere. I don't know where I placed. I was standing next to 6 foot guys, and I was just like nowhere. I don't know where I placed. And then the one where I had no confidence at all going into the under 70s ended up becoming Victorian champ. So I won that. So it was just strange how it happens, But and that was my first show, I think 2019 that one was.
Keep going because I'm going to start mentioning the 2020 and maybe pause it for a second. But all I've got to say is to put all the comps that you've done on the back of a t-shirt ain't going to work. You need a trench coat. We're going to write it. You need a trench coat. You need you know what you need? What the fighters wear before they go in the ring. You need the what do you call that?
A big banner.
A robe.
Yeah.
You need a robe, so people wear it, writing all your comps. So you mentioned, which we're going to get to because it kind of ties in a little bit to some of the guys you've mentioned and the IFBB. But you mentioned, firstly, just the pins and needles and the fused back and prolapsed discs and the physio and the neck braces and my God. And I've had a taste of sciatica. I've had a taste of it. They never called it that, but I've had a taste, and it's pretty bad. So you mentioned 2020 was really bad for you. It set you back. Tell us more, nerve pain, etc. So what happened 2020? What did 2020 do to you?
Yeah. So just before 2020, when I experienced the same problem earlier, I can't actually remember the year now, but I was probably literally about 30. So it's probably happened about 15 years ago when I first had these severe problems. And for those 3, that was the 3 years I was out of work. So
wasn't it also in 2020 when we had that pandemic thing?
It sort of refled. It flared up again. But that's why I said I thought I'll go back just to give you the story on that. Yes, I remember I was going for my black. It's called like a black belt in kung fu, and
Bloody hell, Kung Fu
I've
Black
been on
Belt.
the same. Yeah, I've got a few a few styles. I love my martial arts,
Yeah.
and um, and I was on the same belt. They call it a sash in kung fu. I was on the same thing for 3 years, so I was well overdue. Should have had it. The morning of the grading, I woke up. I couldn't get out of bed.
Right.
I was just stuck, in pain. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? And no warning really. And yeah, that's when I ended up going to the physios later. They had to physically tape me up. And that's when I got the collar on my neck. And they put these things around my wrist fingers, stop the pins and needles. So I was getting basically a lot of nerve pain was shooting through. And because um, so I've got 5 discs in my neck, which need a stenosis procedure, which is basically where they cut a bit of lamina out of the vertebra. So just to give it a spacing, because my nerve endings are 90% closed. So my specialists don't know how I'm actually lifting anything at all.
True.
And all my specialists are like, oh, you can't train again, you can't exercise, you're never going to be able to do it.
I think no one should ever say
The one or
can't to you, Jason, but keep going.
No, no. But even when they say can't, and some will go, well, we know you're going to do, but then it's like you're also going to lessen the quality of your life, because your nerve damage is going to get more severe, and you're going to be limited in doing daily things. And there are times where I certainly get a nasty taste of that, and I could be just in pain, just walking around, and just doing nothing, like not training related at all. So I started to get a bit better. What happened was when I exercised, especially when I trained my back a bit, I don't know if you say back's one of my best features, but it's become like, one of my better features, probably out of necessity, but I love training back as well. So it's the sort of two went together. But what I found, it helped me support the discs. So I end up getting like less pain as long as I wasn't being too stupid, which sometimes I'm occasionally do. But I'm always pushing, like I said. But I try to be sensible in the same token, especially at my age now. So what happened in 2020? It was like 8 months of not going into the gym. Take out the 2 weeks in between. I actually started getting all that nerve pain again. And it was like a slap in the face, because I thought I was a lot better than that. I thought, those days were past me now. So it was a big slap in the face as a reminder. It's like, hey, man, this shit's still here. And so I started getting all the pain. And then 2020 was just bad in general. I mean, it was for everyone, for most people, but it looked like I hadn't physically gone to the gym ever.
Yeah.
And I lost 10 kilos. I gained the gut, which I never had.
Well,
It was the
me
first
too.
time,
Just got a
and
gut. It's not even.
you
Yeah,
know,
go on.
yeah, and I would flex or something, and my arm would be just like totally flat. There wasn't even a bump or a line, nothing. I'm like, oh, that's depressing. I've spent my whole life training, and
Yep.
in 8 months, it's all gone, And so there were hard times, but not only the mentally, but then obviously the physical start. And what happened was, because of the nerve was getting, the nerve damage sort of getting stronger in a way. It's hard to explain to people, but I get like these electric shocks. So they go down the arm. Also get them burning down the leg, and to a point where I actually can't walk. There was a point, like I say, in 2020, I couldn't walk in 2020 for about 6 months. And not only do I have the nerve problem, it also makes my muscles like spasm and just sort of move. So I initially thought, because my dad had Parkinson's, and I thought, oh, is this genetic? Because I know sometimes I put my arm on the table or something, and my arm will be shaking. But what it is, and you'll see my triceps shaking and shoulder, but it's actually coming from the nerve. So it's the nerve that's actually shaking everything. So that's involuntary. So sometimes as fit as I look, I can still have these problems. So it's not stuff that goes away totally, but just sort of comes and goes intermittently, and it depends. Sometimes I can be doing things aggravating, sometimes not. So it's just hard, but something I've just got to manage. And the 2020 was very hard because, like I said, when it got to the point I wasn't walking, I was in pain 24/7 at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it was the worst I'd ever felt. The pain was unbelievable. I've got a pretty strong threshold of pain. If you ask my wife, I'm the opposite to a guy having man flu. So I could have an axe in my head and I go, oh, I've just got a headache. I'll sleep it off. See how I am tomorrow morning,
Oh
you know, because
God, yeah.
she's always trying to get me to go to the doctors. And I'm like, no, I'll rest, see how I am tomorrow, kind of thing. But so I don't usually whinge about pain and stuff like that. But
That was pretty bad.
it was pretty bad. And then I'd end up getting like I've got 2 cortisones. I actually got 2 epidurals in there as well.
Yeah, and
They've given me
and
cortisone
let
tablets.
me add
Yeah.
let me add because we're kind of going with the questions too. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not able to walk, which you're telling us, right? You're in so
Mm.
much pain, and you're 6 months out from a comp prep, and you're taking
Yep.
cortisone, epidural. There's epidurals going on.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife. She had for about 6 month period. Probably say 3 months before the comp prep. Let's say
Mhm.
for about 6 month period, she had to put my socks and shoes on for
Yeah,
me
yeah. I'm
because I
reading
couldn't
that.
dress
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
So just the basic things. I was in pain 24/7. Like it was literally, it's hard to explain. Like I'd go to gargle, tilt my neck up, and as soon as I tilt my neck up, that would aggravate the pain. And bang, there it goes. In my sleep, I was in pain, so I had to have like sleep with the pillow and the Velcro in between my legs to try and eliminate a little bit of that
So tell me something though. Tell
pain.
me something because I'm
Yeah,
hearing about the pain. I want to know
yeah. Mm.
what kind of missus do you have? She sounds amazing,
Oh,
buddy. Where do we get
yeah.
something like that? Is it part? Do
She's
you get it with a VK? Like you buy a VK Holden and they give you a good missus or something? What?
well, she's obviously got good taste, so yeah, so, which not everyone has.
Well,
But
firstly, I want to go back about the jiu-jitsu, whatever judo, whatever thing you did. You can't even do a fucking cartwheel, buddy. Don't tell us stories about black belt. Anyway, but yeah, where do you get a
did I
missus
tell you
like
I
that?
busted
Come
my thumb
on,
when I
where do
did
you
that
get
cartwheel?
a missus like that? Come on.
I'm very
Tell me
lucky
about
because
her. Can you let's come on,
yeah.
enough about you. Let's talk about her for a moment. Go.
No, she's amazing. She'd love that. Like, I'm very lucky to have my wife. Her name's Angeline,
Oh,
and
nice name.
she's the love of my life. We've been together such a long time now. So next year will be our 20th actual married, our anniversary. We were friends for a couple of years before we went out, so it took us a while before we got married, but we've known each other a long time. And I'm very fortunate in the sense that she hates bodybuilding,
She hates me,
but
but she
yeah, but
loves
she
you.
supports me. Yeah, she supports me. So that's fantastic. She has to sacrifice so a lot for me. As anyone knows, anyone who's competed or knows somebody will know it's not a one person sport like people say it is, and it's selfish sport, but it really does take a team of people, so whether it's friends, family, just loved ones in general, close friends, associates. But I'm fortunate enough to have her by my side,
She
and
was
she
putting
helps
on
me
your
in every
socks.
aspect.
She was putting on your shoes. She was putting up with your jokes. She was putting up with you.
I think she likes my jokes and she loves my Holden.
She's
So
putting up with your
yeah.
Holden. My God, I mean,
No, she loves it.
I got to find an
No,
Angelina, man. But
no,
I
yeah,
think I do
no.
have one anyway. But
it's just Angeline without the A at the end.
what's that?
Angeline. It's Angeline without the A at the end. She
Angeline.
hates it when
Okay,
people.
okay. That's why.
Yeah,
I've been looking for an
yeah,
Angelina. That's the problem.
yeah.
I've been
No,
looking for
yeah,
with the
yeah.
A.
Well, it's a normal Greek name, isn't
Is
it?
she
Angelina.
Greek?
Yeah. No,
Oh,
no. I'm just saying Angelina's a normal Greek name, isn't it?
Angela.
Fairly common.
It's called
Oh, Angela.
Vageliki, and you are in Melbourne. You're with all the Greeks. Let's keep
Yes,
going
yes.
with some people because even though the podcast's about you, let's mention
Yes.
that. Firstly, thank you. It's
So
so
what I'll
good.
say about
It's
my
so
wife
good.
as well,
No, we're not
since
done.
I
We're
am
not
mentioning.
done. I'm saying I'm thanking your
Okay.
wife
Okay.
for doing an
Can I tell her a
amazing
little bit
job.
more?
She's amazing,
Yeah,
and I'm
because
really grateful.
she does help me
Yeah.
because
She's not even into
because of my
bodybuilding.
eyesight.
She's probably not into.
No,
She's probably not even into Holdens either. She's probably into
no, she loves.
Fords. Anyway.
No. She hates Fords. That's why we get along so well.
Okay.
But
But you've mentioned.
actually,
I'm gonna keep going
yeah,
with the
no.
questions.
Like in all seriousness,
Yep. Please.
because my eyesight as well, she's an immense part for me.
Oh
It's
yes.
very
Please say
hard to
more.
get around.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it's hard for me to get around, so I can't, like, I have to rely on public transport. Taxis, can be quite expensive. So she really does help me if I need to go and train with someone or do some posing things or
Wow.
see people like that. So she helps, drive me around. She when I come to pose, I can't pose on my own because I can't actually see myself. So, so she's almost my eyes. So even though she hates bodybuilding, she's come in. Any of the posing coaches that I've worked with over the years, she's come in and watched and maybe taken pictures or videos so she understands how the poses should look, or this is, So she's actually become almost a master in
She's a
posing now
posing coach
herself.
too now. She's a posing
Yeah,
coach.
she could be. I told her you got a job now, and she'll come to the comp and start grading the competitors, and they're lacking this or that, or this girl looks really good, and so she's sort of become an expert for somebody who doesn't really like the scene too much.
Mate, she's
She's
amazing. I make sure.
yeah, so she is amazing. But she really rides it with me as well. She helps with my meal preps, especially when I'm busy and flat out, and there are certain things I have trouble doing because of my sight. So she puts a lot of time and effort. So I do run off her feet. I always miss her birthday every year because it's in September. It's usually when all the shows, September,
Such a selfish
October.
bastard.
So I am. But this year's her 50th. So this is the reason I'm not competing this year. Otherwise, I should be a lot more ripped by now. But so we're going away for a couple of weeks next week.
She's amazing.
And
she's probably
I had to make it up to her.
unicorn, isn't she? She's a unicorn.
No, I love her so much. I'm so grateful that I've got someone like that in my life.
I'm so glad we're mentioning
we never
her,
fight and
and I
argue.
think it's only fair that a lot of these guys, everybody on stage, you bodybuilders, male or female, does have a great sidekick. I'm sure that's helping you get there, and also eating the boiled rice, poached veggies, grilled chicken with you, even though they don't want it and they want to go to KFC. But you know what? Good on
exactly.
I want to mention as well a few people that you've mentioned that helped you.
Yep.
You mentioned Andrew Locke, who we're going to be doing a podcast with him because we're coming to Melbourne. I'm letting you know we're coming to Melbourne. Me and Chris we're doing a road show. And we're coming to Melbourne to see we're doing our pod, and we're going to mention him as well. We're going to do a podcast with Tony, but I'm going to do a podcast with Andrew Locke. But he's the best exercise physiologist who helped you immensely. And tell me a bit about him. Warm me up to him. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Andrew's he's a big dude himself. He's a power lifter. Yeah, background. I think it was 150 at one point. He's a little bit smaller now, but I think he was about 150. And I think he's got some records himself. So not only is he a power lifter, but he's obviously a doctor and exercise physiologist. So he understands from both sides. And every single specialist that I've gone and seen is like, hey, you got to stop training. You got to stop killing yourself. You got to stop doing this and stop doing that.
They tell you to take medication. They tell you to stop training. All that stuff. I was
supposed to do surgeries left, right, and center. Yeah, and he was like, no, he uses exercise to basically do rehab to kind of to help your body to get out of things. So it might not be conventional exercises per se sometimes. Yep. So you might not be doing dumbbell rows or this or that like traditional. Yep. But you'll be doing other little exercises as part of your rehab. Some of it's prehab, but his knowledge is amazing, and it's definitely helped me. It's not a quick fix, it's stuff that I had to do daily, and I had to do it twice a day, and it's probably take me 45 minutes each time. And when you're doing a comp prep and everything else in between, I was still working full time. So like we said, I'm not a pro bodybuilder. I was still trying to look after my clients and all that sort of stuff that you do. But I had to do it if I wanted to be functional. Because when I saw Andrew at that point, it was more not about competing because I was in so much pain. Probably competing wasn't right there. It was more like, hey, I need to be a little functional or a little pain-free during the day, just some friggin' relief, I can't be in pain 24/7 because you get really agitated when that pain is constant. It makes it really hard, but he's amazing. I know he's doing his world tourish sort of thing at the moment with his seminars, and he's going great guns, and he's been in the industry a long time.
He looks like He looks like, I mean, he doesn't look conventional, but God, but he looks a little scary. But we're looking for. I'm actually tied in to do a podcast with him because of you, because of your story. And your story also helped me tie in Tony Doherty for a podcast. So you have linked a little bit further into some people. And I wouldn't mind talking about the next person, Josh Luanowick.
And I was just going to say quickly too, with Andrew, he was also how I met Sammy Ioannidis, because I had to change my training style at the time, because when I started getting my nerve problem, because I said I was so strong, which was kind of like a blessing and a curse in the same time, which kind of like the Ronnie thing. But I was so used to lifting certain numbers. So I'd go into the gym and try and lift, and my nerve would fail. And when your nerve fails, it's not a mind matter thing anymore. It's your nerve. So it's like if you could have the best phone in the world, the most expensive phone, but if you have no connection, it's useless, So, and that's what nerves is. So you lose that connection, it's not your muscles aren't going to move. So it was the same thing. So I kept getting in the gym, and I was getting really frustrated because I tried to lift heavy, I'd fail, and sometimes I'd leave the gym in 20 minutes or 15 minutes or less, just really pissed off and and angry, and I thought, and if I go lightweight, I couldn't get a pump. So it was about training a different way. And then when I met Sammy, because
what's Sammy
Andrew
like?
kept mentioning Sammy.
What's Sammy like?
Mate, you know what? I've been fortunate. Not too many people have been fortunate enough to train with an old school bodybuilder, pro, and a current pro bodybuilder. Not too many, and both world champs. And like for me, it was amazing. Like for both of them, but you hear this debate all the time. Old school bodybuilders train harder than current guys, and vice versa. Like, I honestly, after meeting the two guys, and I have a lot of respect for Josh, but I'd have to say Sammy's style of training, it's more hardcore and it's more brutal. It's just like, it was intense. The training was through the roof. Like, I'll give an example. Like, because Sammy, his mentor was Reg Park. So if you know who Reg Park was,
I
Do you know Reg Park?
Who's Reg Park?
No. So Reg Park was the Mr. Olympia back in the day, just before Arnie.
Oh yeah.
And he that was Arnie's mentor, and the reason Arnie wanted to go in Hollywood, because Reg Park was the first Olympian to go into Hollywood, and he became the first Hercules.
Oh, right. Okay.
So if you look that up, So Arnie went and lived with Reg Park for 3 months in his house. You eat, train, sleep with him, etc.
His name is Reg Park.
Park,
Yeah, no, I'm writing this down because I want to do more research on him. Thank you. Keep going.
You won't be able to do an interview with him, but
no. Well, maybe when I'm in heaven. But yes, of course.
You'll get some good tips when you're up there. But anyway,
no, but when I interview Arnie, I could talk about Reg Parks. If I go on.
Yes. And then Sammy did the same thing. So he spent 3 months with Reg Park and learned off him. So that was his mentor. And they basically, Reg Park did a lot of giant sets. So do you know what I mean by giant sets? Yep. So giant sets is 4 or more exercises back to back. So this was brutal. So when we did like a chest day, a shoulder day, we were averaging 60 sets in an hour when I was in the full swing of things, up to Sammy's standards.
That is the 70s, 80s, and 90s, man. The early 90s.
It was intense.
Before the millennium, training was brutal. There was brutal.
Yes.
Brutal places, brutal training, brutal. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we didn't rest a lot. And I'll give an example. Leg day may be a little slower because you might need a slightly more rest. But I'll give an example. A typical leg day for us, and these were brutal. I was just laughing thinking about it. But we would start off, say, maybe 7 exercises we do back to back. So we'll start off initially. We work backwards a lot of times. So we'll do our calves first. Then we'll do hammies. And then Sammy will say, all right, now the training begins, So then we'll do the quads.
Yeah, it was like that. It was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we would start off, the 7 exercises we would giant set would be, and we'd have maybe 2 squat racks set up. and do 12 back squats.
Yeah.
Go 12 straight into 12 front squats. Go into a lighter alternating barbell lunges, and we might do 25 on each rep. 25 reps on each side, I should say.
Yeah.
Then we'd go into a leg press, probably 200 to 350 kilos, but do 25 to 30 reps straight.
Mm-hmm.
We'd go and hack squat, go 15 one way, turn around 15 the other way, and then hop on the leg extension. And oh my God, the burn you would get when you hop on from the hack squat to the leg extension, it's something I haven't really felt ever. And there's not too many people on this planet, I think, would ever felt that. It's the one time I actually want to stop, and I don't normally say that, but it was intense. It was intense, and
training,
we would do
training
that.
wasn't training when we used to train. I'll tell you something else that I don't know if I have said it on a podcast, but let's say now, how long is training now at the moment? An hour?
Generally an hour.
All right, let's say an hour. An hour's training, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. We used to train for 2 hours, right? But we would train, say, let's say we train quads to failure. Then we'd sit down for 10 minutes. Sit down. We just all sit down at the gym for 10 minutes just to have a rest before we smashed hammies. Then we'd smash hammies. But wait a minute. That usually finished in an hour and a half. The last half hour, we'd stay to spot. You'd stay to spot mates. So you'd be spotting people because they'd spot you and you'd spot them. Sometimes you didn't even leave the gym because you just, like I said, you trained to failure and then you spotted people to failure. It was just crazy, man.
Yeah, no. And I remember a lot of times we would do these giant sets. When I first started with Sam, I think we were doing 5 sets, but then as the intensity got higher and my intensity got higher as well, I think we were doing 6 sets. And each time you'd sort of bump up the weight a little bit. So they're not obviously like in maximum weights, but they weren't light weights either. You know, so if we were back squatting, let's say I could normally squat, let's say if it was 200 kilos, let's say I could back squat maybe 100 kilos, 120, and you probably worked your way up to maybe 140, you know, so it's not your maximum, but when you add all those exercises back to back, you're getting hammered left, right, and center. The muscle's not resting, so you're going from one machine to the other, and the only time you're resting is half a minute to a minute after the giant set's finished. So only resting, let's call it a minute, and then you go again, you know. And I'd be like, my face is red, I'm huffing and puffing, I'm probably the noisiest bugger in the gym, which is embarrassing, but you know, when you're working hard, sometimes we're trying to catch.
You love that stuff, Jason.
Yeah, and then I'll be trying to catch my breath, and Sammy would yell out, "Rest is rust."
Rest is rust. Right.
I got that from Reg Park. I said, "Oh, where'd you get that from?" And it's like Reg Park used to say that a lot. Rest is rust. So
let's we know that part, but tell us. Josh let you train at his home. That's another nice guy. Tell us about that one.
Yeah. So, like I've said, these guys can have the more opposite approach. I'll just say the negatives of training the old school style. I believe, like, hand on heart's my favorite style of training. You feel like an absolute animal. It's very caveman-like. There's something that releases, you know. But I also believe because it's also the detriment of form.
Oh yeah,
and it's more worried.
Form. There's no form. There's no.
So you're more worried about the reps and the intensity, and that can lead to injuries, and which is probably where I have a few of mine, you know. So
old school destroyed you in some.
Yeah. So where the current guys like Josh, which I've learned, is the exact opposite. They train smarter, but not harder, you know. So when I train with Josh, it's the exact opposite. So I've even told him this in not a rude way because I have a lot of respect for him. We became good friends, or we are good friends. And but I'll say, like, sometimes I feel like we're not working as hard because in the middle of the sets, in between sets, you know, we're having a little chat, and I'm not used to that. You know, I'm sort of used to that. You know, that absolute animal sort of pace and intensity. Whereas Josh is more like. Yeah, the form has got to be 100%, you know, and we're more worried about like time under tension and those sorts of things and controlling the movement and making the forms 100%. Obviously, we want to lift as heavy as we can go, and hence that's why he has the longer rest periods, in between sets.
But also,
Yeah.
Josh used to help you get up off the bench. He helped.
Yes, I'll tell you about that.
He
Yeah,
helped you.
yeah.
I'm going to make sure we get to that. He's going to.
I'm going to say that now.
Yeah,
I'm going to say
no,
now.
it's all right because
So,
I mean, soon this will be the Jason podcast. He'll run the whole thing. Chris, I'm moving aside.
I don't know about that.
Jason in as the host.
No.
But what
I don't know
mean
about that, mate.
So, Josh, and you can elaborate, but let me just say this.
Yeah.
You can elaborate. And plus,
Okay.
I want to hear my voice a little bit. Come on, give me a chance. No.
Go for it.
This podcast with JFit, I feel like I fucking talk too much, so I'm trying to be quiet.
No.
But
No, you're good.
Josh not only helped you get up with all the pain you're under, get up on the bench to get up there. He also passed you the weights, but he also on the leg machine. He knew your work ethic. He helped you get up and get on the leg press machine too. Like, what happened? Tell me about this guy.
Yeah. So I've met Josh a few times in the past over the years, like, through Doherty's would run some posing seminars.
Yep.
I'd see him at registrations. So I'd jump in. I've had a few pictures with him. I had the highest regards for Josh because I remember I'd only met him once before, and I saw him at the I think I was doing I think it was a posing seminar or something, or a registration, and I didn't say hi to him. He came from behind and said hi. He came up and said hi to me. How's it going? And I thought, wow, for like a big shot to to come and acknowledge me, which he wouldn't know from a bar apart from just meeting me. I thought, wow, he had, I had a lot of respect for that. Like, he's not an egotistical person. I've seen, I hate to say it, some pros who walk around, well, not even pros, but some people walk around with their nose in the air a little bit and think that they're all that.
Bros and bras.
Some pros, yeah. So I've never really respect people like that. I think you want to be confident in yourself, and exude confidence, but that saying where it's nice to be good, but it's
nice.
like better to be nice, So yeah, I screwed that up, but you know what I mean.
No, you screwed up from Holden, but keep going.
We could keep going with those, right? If we don't get me started on that. No, but in all honesty, yes, I had a lot of respect for him. And then I said, I had a circumstance where I couldn't train with Sammy at that time, so I wanted to have job because I said, I wanted to win an Australian title, and I said I've never won an Australian title. I always placed I've placed third, I placed second, and I placed third again. It was third and second. I said, what do I do to get that top step? So maybe if I work with a pro who can help me just that little bit more, there may be a little trick or something that I can learn, or just having a pair of eyes in the literal sense, but in a bodybuilding sense as well. Somebody who knows what they're doing. And can see where my flaws are, what I might need to work on, etc. It's very hard to look at you objectively, and probably 10 times more with my eyesight. So having someone like that was really handy. And initially, I don't think Josh respected me that much when we met. But I earned his respect. It didn't take long before that turned around, and he just saw my work ethic and how hard I used to train and things like that, and that I don't give up. And like I just said, I was training at his house at the time. I'd go and train down there, and because I was just starting to walk and just starting to have the notion I wanted to compete, but I was still struggling. I still had immense pain down my leg. The burning was insane, and sometimes I'd physically stop walking. Like my nerves had to explain. I'd take a few steps and I'd actually just stop, and I'd be there for like 10 seconds. I wouldn't be able to move, and then 10 seconds later I could go again.
Yeah, fuck, I've had that.
Yeah, so you've had that too?
Oh yeah, I had.
Did you say?
They did
yeah.
sciatica, but there was something when you got the pain down your leg.
Yeah.
You can have a Big Mac truck come out and you can't fucking move.
No. Well, mine wasn't sciatica, but very similar. But it came from my disc. Because initially I was getting
from L4, L5, by the way.
Yeah. So I had L4, 5, actually L3, 4, and 5, and an S1. So I had a nerve block in there as well. So one off good measure. In fact, one was so tight they couldn't inject it in the right one, so they had to put it on top so it would leak down. That's how closed it was. So yeah, so it was pretty bad. But the thing about Josh, he helped me a lot because he knew I didn't want to give up. He knew I gave it my all. And yeah, there was a funny story where I remember one time I posted a video. I think I had 400 kilos in a leg press, and we did a triple drop set with 5 set negatives, if you know what I mean by that. Yeah, so, and a lot of people commenting, "Oh man, you must have needed like a wheelchair." And what I sort of didn't really put in the post, but he had to. I wasn't walking properly at that stage, and he had to physically help me get into the leg press. He had to physically help me get out of the leg press. And I was still doing those weights with the drop sets and the negatives.
I saw the size of him, and I saw the size of you, mate. It's probably him taking off 20 kilos off a plate. So you were like a plate for him. But you also, I mean, what a nice guy. And honestly, so far, all Andrew and Sammy.
Did the same thing with,
and Josh. But you still competed with the pain, and you won. And that's been the most emotional one of all. Which comp was that?
The weird part is they all had some stories, but the emotional one was that the recent one, which was last year in October, my Mr. Australia title, because I nearly didn't make it to the actual show as well, because what also happened.
Let me say what happened. Let me guess what happened. Let me tell the people what happened.
Okay.
So the emotions were obviously 2020, physically and mentally, but you mentioned now financially. Wait a minute. And you mentioned not being able to make it to the show because your credit card was used fraudulently and maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
And more people helped you, like Tony Doherty. He helped you get there. Please tell us more. And was that the making it more emotional?
Okay. It was just, there was one other thing as well with my sister-in-law.
Oh, no, I've got that too. Don't worry about that. No,
okay.
You know what? Let's take a step back before we talk about.
Because that was all part of it, yeah.
Before we go to that part with Tony.
Okay.
You said that you helped out your sister-in-law because I'm just trying to find the question. 1 second. If things could get tougher, her house burnt down. She lived with you. She's she has schizophrenia, suicidal, constant angry, depressed, ambulance calls. I mean, come on, Jason, please, mate. And you still love bodybuilding and going to shows. Keep going. Tell us what happened there.
Yeah, so it's definitely a hard time. Like, anyone who's ever done a comp prep.
I need to breathe. Go on.
Yeah, anyone who's ever done a comp prep will know how hard that journey is just to do one show, let alone, some do one show and never.
It's hard without comp prep, buddy. But go ahead.
Some people do one show and never do another one again. So it is fairly hard for those who've never done it. Probably can't appreciate how hard it is. I've been one of those people. I'm a rare competitor. Like, I actually find the comp prep, I don't want to say fairly easy, but I'm fairly relaxed and chilled. I don't get my I don't wear knickers, but I was going to say knickers in a knot.
I don't want to hear about
But I'm usually pretty chilled.
Go ahead.
No, don't picture that.
You're going to get followers for that one. Chris, make sure you go with it.
Mate, I want to say something, but I don't, because we'll leave that one alone.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I think I've got a few of those followers, but I'm happily married. All I'll say. So it's just really hard. Like, my sister-in-law, she burned her house down. She has epilepsy as well, but severe schizophrenia. And she was extremely suicidal. And I don't know, maybe not everyone can appreciate just living with somebody like that, how hard that actually is. But it's constant tension. She's constantly angry, constantly swearing, constantly abusive.
Hard for everyone. It's not just you. It's hard for her. But go on.
Yeah. And when I'm in a comp prep, my thing is I always want to be really focused and really positive. They're the two things that I probably focus on the most and that I need around me. And I need to surround myself either people who are going to fit in with that or just sort of put myself in that and keep to myself if I need to. But I need those two things. And I feel when I do those two things, I'm as happy as Larry and everything goes well. And, you know, I bring home the bacon, so to speak. But it was really hard having somebody living in the house, changes dynamics. Normally, me and my wife get along so well. We don't even argue like twice a year, not even, you know. So, in all honesty,
What would you argue about?
and it was
If you
causing.
had to argue, what would you argue with her about?
Oh, we wouldn't. I can't even remember. It's been that long, and I'm not exaggerating.
I try not to argue.
It'd be
I seem
some.
to get into arguments.
Yeah, we're sort of lucky. I'm not a fairly average guy, and she's not a fairly average woman. So I think for us it kind of
Do I
works,
have
you
an
know. But
argument face? Do I have an argument face, Chris?
uh,
I think I've got an argument face. Do I look like the face that you want to argue with?
mm,
Do I look
no,
like I have the argument face? Like,
I think it depends on the person. Some people love to argue. Some people get
yeah,
high
Chris
off arguing.
reckons I
I've
have
got
an
to count.
argument-looking face because
Yeah,
you, Jason, don't have an argument-looking face.
no, but I can turn green if people get me angry. I can turn green. So
Chris looks
we
like
all have our.
Chris looks scary. I don't think Chris. I don't even want to argue with Chris. He just looks scary. I don't know
No,
why. He's got
no.
this stone. What's that other thing you're trying to be? Stoic. He's got this stone, stoic, and what's face? Poker face. And I never know
Yeah,
when I do a good job. Never know when I do a bad job. But I always feel
yeah,
like he's fucking angry at me or something. He's going to take me out. So I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
No.
He's good for debt collecting. Let me tell you. But go ahead. He's good for debt collecting.
That's all right. Everyone's good for
Yeah,
something.
he's good. So yeah.
Yeah,
So you had your
yeah,
sister
yeah,
there. You don't argue much
yeah.
with
So
your
I
wife,
had that.
and you
Yeah,
do
but it
turn
was
green.
causing tension
Go on.
between
Going
us.
back to
Just
your
yeah, a lot
sister.
of tension in the. So it was just a lot of tension in the house, and it was a horrible feeling, horrible vibe. I couldn't feel that energy that I normally I'm actually really excited for when I'm competing. So I have this sort of buzz about me. I've just like I might be rare for a competitor, but I'm more excited than I am um like worn out or angry or not angry, but you know, people get a bit moody and stuff like that. So my people who know me and have seen me are shocked how pleasant I am. They go, "Oh, you're still smiling. You're still full of energy. You're still this and that." And I'm like, "Yeah." And actually, funny story. When I was training 2 weeks before my
Yep.
Vicks, I was training with Josh. I think we're at Doherty's at the time, and I was smashing out PBs. And he's like, "What the hell? He's going, that's unheard of." He goes, "You're on no calories, no carbs." He's going, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I don't care what I'm eating." I said, my mindset is just I want to be better than yesterday. So
Well, you've
when I
actually
come in,
that's a quote of yours, but
yeah,
seeing that's happened with your sister and you made it, let's just go straight
yeah,
to you. You're broken.
yeah,
Everything's going on.
yeah.
And
So I couldn't.
Doherty, what does he do?
Actually, I don't want to mention Tony too much because he didn't really want it overly public. So I don't know.
He
I'm not sure if I should say it or
he
not, but
doesn't
he
he
did help.
doesn't
But
he
yeah,
doesn't what was that? He doesn't like overly public.
yeah, as in to notify that. I think he was just helping me. You know what I mean? But
Well,
I wanted to
how
acknowledge
about
it.
you? How
He
about
did help me out.
yeah? Just say,
Yeah,
oh look,
and I was grateful.
well,
I I think at the time he didn't want extra. I don't know if you say correct. I don't know. I don't know. Like if he just wanted to do it as a generosity thing rather than a
I'll tell you
to
how
get
I'll take it.
accolades
I'll
for
tell
it
you
or
how I'll
something.
take it. I'll tell you how. We'll leave it
Yeah,
at this point. We'll leave it like this. I'll tell you how we'll take it.
yeah,
Sometimes you
yeah,
don't do things because others need to know. Sometimes you do
yeah.
things
That's what I'm
because
saying. Yeah,
you need to know, and also the relationship with that person. That's all that needs to be
yeah,
said. So we're going to
yeah,
leave it at that because when
yeah,
I speak to
yeah,
Doherty, maybe I might bring it up and we'll see if he wants to elaborate further. But
yeah.
tell me something.
Maybe ask him.
I
Yeah,
will
off
ask
there.
him, ask him a lot of questions.
Yeah,
But tell me something.
off. Yeah, yeah.
What did you? Where's my question, mate? Where's my question? What?
So I nearly didn't make the show because yeah, someone they used our credit card fortunately, and we hadn't booked in. There were certain payments we hadn't booked in, so we hadn't booked in tickets to you know, the airline tickets, the registration. Like there were certain things we hadn't paid for. I think the airfares alone, because obviously my wife has to come with me because I can't travel on my own. I need I need someone to help me to get around, and it's very when you're legally blind, close to blind, like it's actually very scary going around to new places. It might sound a bit strange, but it's like it's overwhelming. It happened to me the other day when I was going to the city, and I got lost something with a tram. I got quite emotional because I was absolutely lost, and I felt like no one could help me, and but that's not a nice feeling. So. So when she's with me, I feel safer, and she makes it easier for me. So obviously we needed the airfare. We couldn't pay for the registration. I think it happened about 3 days before we needed to leave, and I tried calling the banks and trying to get an extra loan, like an extra loan, but they said, "Oh, we can't give you a loan because your credit card is maxed." And I was thinking, well, that's why we want the loan, so we can, pay a little bit on the credit card. So it looked like I wasn't going to be able to show at all. And I was devastated. I felt like this was 6 months prep probably all up, and for all the pain that I endured and everything. And I felt like if I could just get my butt there, I was going to win. And it's, there was all these signs that were pointing that I was going to win. I don't want to say someone, but I got some great feedback off Tony. I got some great feedback off Josh. I got some, which I never had before. And, and I thought, like, shit, this show is mine. I just got to get my butt there. But I was absolutely gutted.
Well, you
when I thought,
you got there. But I want to ask you, because you won, and that's, they've done so well, and that was one of the most emotional ones. What did you learn about people? With all that going on, what did you learn about people and the help and accepting help? So people that help, accepting help, because we don't always like accepting help. But what did it make you? What lesson did you learn about people?
Well, I've got how do I say it? Like, initially my wife didn't want me to put something. She didn't want me asking people because there's a bit of a pride thing, and it's like it's a bit embarrassing to ask for help, etc.
Look, before you go, just let me add something, because I like adding things. I said to Chris, I went to a seminar once, and this guy is called Mark Aceta, and he said it was about sales, right, or selling, or talking to people, and he goes, just when you think you've done everything, you haven't, and it's like thinking. I've done everything. Sometimes you have to sound like you're begging. And sometimes you're not, but you have to sound like you have to. It's kind of like just when you think you haven't lowered your pride, there's a part of you to lower the ego, and just to ask for help, which makes you feel weak, is the bit no one wants to do. So go on.
No. But it's like what you're saying. Like you'd feel weak, but if I felt weak, that also meant that 6 months of hard work went down the drain.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm getting a bit older. I still have these issues. I'm battling with. They're constant. So it's not like I can just get over it and get better. If anything, it's a constant battle. It was a battle on stage. I was still in pain, So, but it's something I just have to learn to manage, and it's like pride is one thing, but it's like I didn't want that 6 months. It's like I was desperate. It's like, what do? It's like I don't want this to go. I felt this was actually mine. I'm getting signs from everywhere. I don't want to say this in a rude way, but like for years I used to see Tony, and I don't want to sound this like rude, but he never used to acknowledge me much, maybe because I'm not one of the big boys, or I haven't won a big show or something.
I think it's everyone else. It's always our perceptions of others, but that's okay. Yeah. That's fair.
No, but I remember one time leading up to the show, I was at Doherty's, and I get a tap on the shoulder, and it was him. And he was talking to me like, well, mates, he was shaking my hand. Hey, mate, I've been following you, and you've been looking great. And that made my day. And he actually wanted a picture, and he goes, do you mind, like, I was thinking, shit, maybe I should ask him for a picture. And he's like, do you mind if I take a picture with you, and I'm going to put it up on my stories? And I'm like, shit, that made my day.
Well, it's how we judge people. And, once we get to meet them. That's why I think that's a great story. But so, talking about people, what did you learn?
So what I learned, I sort of know this because I've been I've got a background in counselling, and I've worked in the welfare industry. So I generally have a good perception of people anyway. But what it did highlight is that um, obviously in times of need, especially, but there are a lot of good people that are willing to help. Not everybody's going to do it, of course, but when I guess it depends on the severity, of course. I think the more serious something is, the more people are going to help. Like I said, if I tell the majority of people, hey, I'm going to miss out going on to a bodybuilding show, they're like, oh, well, it hardly seems like something like a big deal, you know what I mean? But having said that, I was fortunate enough that I had another like follower as well, and a couple of people just giving me small amounts, but the small amounts are all adding up and just made it possible, to be able to go and do the show, and it was such a relief. And I think that's why when I won, it was always been a dream of mine since competing that I wanted to win an Australian title. That's what I told Josh. And I said, look, before I hang up my trunks or whatever, I've done all these comps and I'm multiple Victorian champ, that I've never won an Australian title. That doesn't sit with me. I need to tick that box. So I really wanted to tick it. And then I ticked it. And I think it was because all those things that I rode with my own physical, and like I said, being on stage and twisting and certain poses are really painful for me. So even then I sort of had to fake it and maybe not contract as hard in certain things, like my hammies probably suffered because I couldn't show them off as much, especially in the twisty positions and stuff like that. So yeah, there are certain things, like I know when me and Josh were working on the poses, so it was trying to help me, but it's like when I was trying to do them correctly, they were causing me immense pain. So I think even he got to a point where he realized that it's like, well, it's not worth that. So you got to do it the way that's going to work for you.
Well, you did amazing, and I'm gonna, because you're quite optimistic, all right? You said you're an optimistic guy, and you want to prep but be positive in the prepping. But explain to me better than yesterday. What does that mean? You've said it before. As long as you explain better than yesterday, what does that mean?
Yeah, so I think we all have certain goals, and some people have no goals. So whether it's gym or life, you just go around doing your daily thing. And for some people that may work, but generally speaking, that kind of gets you nowhere. So you want to have a small goal, aim towards that, and then keep progressing. Once you hit that, then your target moves. You might want a different goal or go in a different angle, and stuff like that. So when I say be better than yesterday, it's like, well, we all want to probably be a little bit stronger, a little bit fitter, a little bit better physique, whatever it's different from person to person, obviously, what that goal is. But whatever it is, rather than think of your massive goal, like, it's all the way down here or over here, all you need to do is bet it by a small amount. So even like strength, if you just put on, let's say it's a bench press, and you just put a half a kilo on each side. It doesn't sound like very much. It's half a kilo. It's big whoops. We all want to put a 5 kilo plate, a 10, whatever, a plate even. But that may be unrealistic, and we're probably not doing the exercise correctly. So it's like, all right, let's just put on half a kilo, bang. All right, cool. We did it. We didn't do it. Okay, that's all right. It's not a fail. It's an attempt. To me, there's no success without failure. So you need that failure, to learn and to constantly know where that boundary is for you, and to hopefully use that as a positive motivation to keep going.
I love that. So what you're saying, that tomorrow can always be a better day, but even if we just turn up and give it a crack and it's still kind of plateauing, it's still okay.
Well, no, just be like that little bit better than yesterday. So whatever you did yesterday,
2.5,
so like I said,
2.5 kilos more if you have to do it.
Not even 2.5, even a half a kilo, whatever it is,
Jesus Christ,
It doesn't sound like much. It's not very manly way or exercise, or it's hardly something you go around bragging about. But you know what? Think of world records in power lifts. that half a kilo is the difference between a make and break, you know. So,
Listen,
um,
in the 90s, probably even the 80s and
yeah,
70s. And listen, don't quote me anything I've ever said on this podcast. Don't quote me like I'm the expert, because I'm not. But I don't think we had
no,
1.5 kilos, 2.5 kilos. We just went 5, 10, 15,
yeah,
20.
yeah, yep,
It was big weights, but I
yep,
know intricacies, little intricate movements helps. But before,
yep.
before because we're going to get into the body now, we're going to go through the whole body. We're going to get your tips. What did you have for breakfast
Okay.
this morning?
Um, I love my protein oats, um, so that's usually some eggs. And it depends if I'm bulking or cutting. If I'm bulking, it's usually the whole eggs. But if I'm shredding down, it'll be just egg whites. Obviously some oats. Sometimes put a scoop of protein powder. Sometimes I got it banana fruit or some almonds in there as well. So
Nice.
it's kind of like a nice, yummy snack. I love it. So yeah.
Is that your favorite meal of the day, breakfast?
Generally, I love it. Yeah, feels like dessert,
Yeah, it
so
does
can't
feel
go
very
wrong.
feels like this. Tell me
Um,
also, what is your cheat meal? If you had a cheat meal favorite, what's your cheat meal?
oh, every week at the moment we're having a pizza on the weekend.
Pizza. What's
So,
your pizza favorite?
I love anything hot and spicy. So the hotter the friggin' better. So,
You like
yeah, uh,
spicy pepperoni?
and anything blow your mouth out hot. Yeah, blow your brains out. That's me.
Chris is
They're
happy with
usually
that.
not hot enough.
Chris is happy with
They're
that.
not on the. Yeah, yeah,
I used to like. No, I can't have chili anymore or a lot of red peppers.
yeah.
Oh man, my
Okay.
lips explode. I get rashes.
Oh yeah.
Even
Oh really?
mate,
Okay.
you'd be surprised.
Oh
You'd be surprised what blew up. I can't say it on
yeah.
camera, but everything blew up, mate. It's already big, but it was massive, like big.
Oh, okay.
But that's another story for
You
another
know,
day, Jason.
sounds like you might increase
We
sales
still
with
know
chili.
about you not wearing knickers, so we're just going to stick with you wearing
I
knickers.
well,
What?
I'd like to think most guys don't wear knickers, but yeah.
No, we won't go into that. All right.
Look,
You're not feeling well, so you didn't train today, I'm assuming. Did you train today? You didn't train
no,
today.
I didn't today. No, so no, a little under today,
Okay.
but yeah, which is rare for me.
Okay.
But yeah,
Have you hung up your jocks, being only your bodybuilding jocks you own? Have you hung them up, or are you going to compete again?
no, definitely. Like I said, it's only because of celebrating my wife's 50th this year, but we're going away. So obviously, just couldn't do it this year. But next year we're going to be back and hunt for another Australian title again.
No way. He's coming
So
back in
yes,
2024.
yes,
All right. Well,
yes.
I'll make sure
So
we do another
and
podcast to make sure we.
I'd like to say bigger and better than ever.
Okay.
So yeah,
Success lives in powerful bodies. And the powerful bodies are fueled by the best.
threeog.shop.
All right.
so best version, yeah,
Oh, no, we look forward to that. So now we're getting to the point where
yeah.
we're going to go through the whole body, right?
Okay,
I'm going to point out the body part. All you need to give me is an exercise. Like, just think of your favorite exercise.
but my favorite.
Yeah, your favorite
Okay,
exercise. And look, some people don't do these exercises, which is okay, or that body part. But I'm
yep.
going to constantly hit you with sets and reps. Okay. So
Okay,
one
all right.
exercise, I'll give you an example, which I always say to everyone. I could say tricep extension, cable extensions for tricep. And I'll say I do 2 sets and pretty much both to failure. What is failure? Sometimes failure is getting to 15, sometimes getting failure to 25. It just depends if I've
Yep,
got the weight right. If I've got it
yep.
right, I like to try for at least 12 to 15. So 2 sets.
Yeah.
That's one exercise.
Okay.
So we're going to
Yep.
start with traps. Do you train traps?
Okay. um, I'd say my best 2 features are my traps and my forearms,
Yeah.
which I never train.
Far out. You
Um,
don't train the traps.
yeah.
And your
My
best
traps would be up to my
features.
ears.
How does that work? How
They
does
blow up so fast. I don't have to do much work for them. Yeah. So just near shows, I'll just hit them a little bit.
traps?
I wish
Maybe I should.
my other body parts grew as quick as easy. But yeah. But otherwise, just like a normal. I like dumbbell shrugs when I'm doing it.
Right. If you do
Yeah,
dumbbell
that sort of
shrugs, how
thing.
many sets? How many reps?
Usually just 3 of 12 is enough. So obviously you're doing your warm-up weights, beforehand. So whatever you're working, obviously with traps you can do a decent weight, so you do a few warm-up sets getting up to it. Yeah.
Okay, so what about, we're going to go with the delts, but we're going to start with rear delts. What do you do for rear delts?
Okay. So I like doing a dumbbell version on an incline bench.
Yep.
So I don't know if that makes sense. You're sort of lying down. And just sort of bringing your arms wide, but keeping the arms totally straight, but not coming all the way up, not angling. So a lot of people come up like all the way.
Okay.
So I only just go to like 45. And just because that way I hit rear delts and not the middle traps. If I want to hit middle traps, then I go the full length.
And what are sets and reps on that one?
I'm just going to go very basic. So three times 12 again. I have different styles of training. So sometimes I will do 5 sets. Sometimes I do 3 of like 12. But then sometimes what I do like what I call progressive overload sets. So, and this is with all the body parts. So sometimes I just get up to my, let's say for that particular week, I want to hit 12s. So I go to my heaviest weight at 12. And then once I do that, I just move on. So I do a different exercise. It sounds a bit strange, like you're not doing as much. But this is something I sort of got from working with Josh as well, which again contradicts like Sammy style where we just annihilate them. This is like you're getting to that heavy load and then just moving on. And the reason being, or the logic behind that, is that to create the stimulus, and it's probably going to be a little bit, I don't know if it's similar to Mike Mensa, but it's like to create the stimulus, you only want to, like he said, like the best way of explaining it is like, let's say you call a taxi and you're waiting 5 minutes and then you go, oh, shit, the taxi's not here. I'm going to call again. I might call a third time. Doesn't matter how many times you call a taxi rank, that taxi's not going to arrive there anytime sooner because you've already called. Yeah, so you've already placed the order in, so to speak. So it's kind of the same with the muscle stress, but causing more stress on the muscle is not necessarily going to be better per se. It's more in the recovery and stuff like that is when you build muscle anyway. So it's very interesting, and you've seen it with all the pro bodybuilders. They all kind of contradict one another anyway. So there's the high volume guys, 2 hours a day, 5 hours a day, whatever, 6, 7 days a week. You got the Mike Mensahs, the Dorian Yates, this and that, 2 or 3 times a week, 4 times maybe, shorter workouts. They're all freaking big guys. So they're all, you know what I mean? They've all built muscle. They all look pretty amazing. So I think there's more ways to skin a cat, so to speak, So I actually vary my training styles. And sometimes I go towards like what Sammy would do. Sometimes I go what Josh would do. Sometimes I do my own thing. Sometimes it's literally a hybrid. But I'd say like I won't say beginners, but more basic terms, I'm just going to call it 3 out of 12.
That's all right.
3 sets of 12.
No, keep going, and I get it.
Does it kind of make sense? I hope it makes sense to what I'm saying.
3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 12. If I said to you that that is also, remember, we've got people on here, Muscle Talks isn't about just pros. It's also feeling like they can come and give the gym a go, give the bodybuilding a go.
Yep.
It's not just about competing. Some people even have second jobs. Even some people aren't personal trainers, but they're competitors. So just because you compete doesn't mean you're a personal trainer. Just because you're a personal trainer doesn't mean you compete. So, and just because you go to the gym, you do neither. But you like myself. I'm not a personal trainer. I don't compete, but I love bodybuilding. So tell me, side delts.
Side delts. I have an unusual one. Because of I get like severe nerve pain when I do a traditional dumbbell sort of side laterals. It can be the same machine, etc. So I have to do a very unique one where I'm on an incline bench on my side, and then I'm just lifting up this way. I do have a video on my TikTok and YouTube. You can check that one out. But it's Andrew Locke gave me that one actually, and it's been a lifesaver. It's a bit boring in the sense that I can't do many variations, but don't cause me pain. but I think my side delts are okay, and I feel them doing them, and yeah, it's a great exercise. Definitely not a very common one, but they work really well because you're going against gravity as well. So it's a bit harder to use a heavier weight,
So what's it
but
called again?
you
What's the
definitely
exercise
feel them.
called again?
I don't know what it's called, but it is a side lateral raise, but on an incline bench.
On an incline bench, side lateral raise, and you.
So yeah, you're kind of like on your side, and you'll be
Oh, are
lifting
you
up like
lying on
that.
the side of the? You're lying one shoulder on the incline bench. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
going out of camera.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I've seen that. Actually seen Arnie do it back in the day. There's a
yeah,
picture of
yeah. I
Arnie
think it is
doing
a
it.
little more.
Yeah, yeah. It's an old
That's
school.
probably correct. There's a few more old school guys,
Yeah, I've
Serge
seen that.
Newbrick,
I've
and
seen that. Okay, three sets of
the
10 on that one. And what about
yeah,
front? Or
12.
12,
I
sorry, three
like
sets.
12.
I'm
Yeah.
taking over here. Three sets of 12. What about front delts?
This is going to sound really embarrassing. I don't do a lot of front delts these days.
Okay.
Um, I if I did, I like doing the just the, dumbbell raises again. And sometimes I like doing them with the twist. Sometimes I just do them straight up. Actually, one of my favorites. It's not a very known one. It was an old school one again, which I think you used to get from Sammy and some of the old school boys, and they used to come like right up, so above head,
Oh,
like
yeah, I
right up
know that
above
one.
head,
I know that one.
and it just caps the whole. You just feel it working the whole shoulder cap, So
Yep, I know that
gives
one.
that
I
nice
know that one. I
rounded thing.
also do,
Yeah.
I don't know if you do it or it's a bit of an old school one as well, but we do it with a
Mm.
barbell. So not just a
Yep.
dumbbell, but we
Yep.
do barbell
Yeah.
front raises. So
Yeah, you can do the same. I just found me personally with the barbell, you're a bit limited in your range because of like how your flexibility and stuff. Whereas the dumbbell, it felt because you're doing one arm at a time, you could get it further back, and it almost feels like a rehab and a stretch in the same time because you kind of
and because I'm not a professional
like a good
coach, I
mobility.
feel sometimes
Mm,
I feel
mm,
that with the dumbbell you can get a cheat move in, but when you go barbell, you definitely can't
yeah,
cheat. Like you have to kind of
yeah,
bring it up, and so that's what I
yeah,
feel with a barbell that you can't do a
yeah.
cheat move. And
I would say no. I would say no.
you
I
are a
would
personal
say you
trainer.
can cheat on either.
Okay, well, sorry,
You can cheat on either if you really wanted to.
well, let me at least
Yeah.
sound like I know what I'm fucking talking about. What the hell, man?
I
All right.
well, if you can sleep at night, whatever you think, it's
Mate,
okay. I'll let you go with the Ford one. I know that's not
sleep at
correct, but
night. Like, yeah, well,
yeah,
you're right. Sorry,
yeah,
guys. It's
yeah.
you can cheat on anything. Um, chest
I'm
exercise.
not. I'm not saying you should cheat.
No,
I'll just say that it's
it's all right. I just
possible.
want to
Yeah,
sleep better now. I just do whatever you want.
yeah.
Um, chest, mate.
Okay, chest. I like doing. I like doing more incline these days. I find there's a lot of research now showing for flat bench cause a lot of shoulder
Yeah,
problems, and
man.
probably because I'm getting older now. I'm shying away from that. But if I do them, I like using like Smith machine a lot now. Um, so yeah, and again, probably like 3 to 12 again
Okay.
on
What
them.
about
Yeah.
you? Seem like you got a pretty good. You seem like you got a thick back and pretty good back. What's your back exercise?
Favorite, that's a tricky one. Um, well, I guess in some ways you can't go past a pull up, body weight pull ups.
Pull-ups.
But not everyone can do those. So if you can't do those, then obviously just like a basic but good version of a lat pull down is a very good like basic for width. Obviously you need to do a row as well for the thickness, but
And 3 sets of
the
12 with
two are
that too.
different. 3 sets of 12, yeah.
What about
It's a good
bicep?
basic
What's your
sort of.
favorite bicep exercise?
Biceps, yeah, I like just doing, again, I don't know if I've got a favorite because you do more than one, but just a standing alternating curl
Yeah.
is usually pretty good.
Yep.
But sometimes I like supersetting them. So with a set of hammers straight after, just hammer them literally. Um, so yeah, the pump's pretty intense.
3 sets of 12.
3 sets of 12,
Okay.
yeah.
What about tricep?
So tricep, when I was younger, I used to like doing the like narrow grip bench press to probably
Oh
build
yeah, the narrow
build
grip.
a size.
Yes.
Yeah, to build a size. Not a lot of people do that these days. I don't know. So yeah, I don't do them much now, but my triceps are one of my strongest features, and I don't know if you've seen some of them. I have a split in my tricep. Might not see it now here, but yeah. Which actually really impresses Josh. There's a video of Josh freaking out when he sees my tricep. So
Yes, I've seen that video.
Yeah, yeah, he has a closer look and he's like, oh, yeah. So he's pretty impressed because he doesn't even have that. So, yeah, triceps my strong point, so I can beat a lot of guys with my tricep pose as well. So,
are you still going with the close grip press?
not so much, nah. But I like supersetting and trisetting with triceps. So, sometimes what I find like with arms, I think arms in general, like biceps and triceps, I think kind of work a little bit better with more volume and so more reps and more sets. So either like supersetting is a good example. So if you can superset your biceps, like I said, you could do your alternating curls with hammer curls. You can even do a triset. So where you're on like a barbell first, then grab the dumbbells alternating, and then do hammers.
What's a tricep one?
So a tricep one could be where you start with overhead, like let's say rope, and you burn them out. So it could be like 20 reps.
20 reps, yep.
Then you go down 20 reps like with the normal coming down. And then you come onto a bench, like an incline, and you're on your back and you just sort of hold it like that and come outwards that way.
I know that one.
So that way you're working all the heads when you do that free.
So failure,
and by doing
how many sets?
3.
3 sets of failure. It's not good. What about
Your arms feel like balloons after that.
Even though you said they're your prominent part, I realise there's actually a word for forearms, and that's your brachialis. Brachialis. It's brachialis, Chris.
Yes.
Jay Cutler. I heard Jay Cutler say brachialis.
So they're the hammers. Yeah, they're the doing the hammer curls.
Brachialis?
Yeah. They're the only thing that are kind of reverse. Yeah, the only thing's going to work.
Forearm. Okay, how many sets? How many reps?
Again, just 3 to 12 in the basic sense.
What's your favourite ab exercise?
I don't do anything these days. Sounds really bad. I've done years of martial arts, so we did like millions of crunches and everything. I used to do them hanging upside down. If people see my videos, I can actually do hanging wipers, if you know what that is. You know where you come up and your legs come up in the air and you're going like side to side and you're hanging. I don't know if you know. So I can do that. I can do toaster bars. I've got a pretty strong core. So I don't really do much. I might do Swiss ball crunches again because of my back.
But if I was
doing
to
sit-ups and
do any of those, how many reps do you reckon I should get in? Failure?
Abs work better. Yeah, higher reps, like at least 20, 15 to 20 minimum. If you go more, do 50. I remember when I was sometimes close to a show, do Swiss ball squats. I think I used to do at one point, I was doing like 250 straight. Just
ab.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Yeah. And
that is. And tell me how many sets.
Yeah. Sometimes I just do that once a day.
Just one hit, go.
Yeah, one hit once a day. If you do 250, it's enough. I think. Yeah.
What about what about quads?
But also things that are underrated. Is stuff like the planks. Yeah, so I think like planks and side planks. I don't know about giving you that 6-pack, but nothing really gives you 6-pack because it's really about the nutrition and your your body composition. So nothing really gives you abs per se. That's why I don't put a lot of attention into my abs these days. But
that's fair. That's fair. What about quads?
That actually bores me.
What about quads?
All right, quads. Favorite these days. Look, before I had all my back issues, I used to love squatting. So I used to, like I said, squat 4 and 5K. So I still love the squats. But anyone with back issues does compress the spine. So either the hack squat. Also, you've been using they've got a pendulum squat, which was my friend when my back was really bad because I couldn't have any compression on my back. So the pendulum squat kills. If anyone's ever been on there, you've barely got no weight, destroys your ego because it's the opposite of a leg press. Leg press, it's not that uncommon to see people doing 500 kilos on a leg press, but
so one hack or pendulum, which one, or both?
I'm going to say for quads, if more specific, probably the hack, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many sets, reps? Again, 3 sets of 12?
Yeah, 3 to 12
Okay.
is a good all-rounder.
What about hammies?
Hammies, I got my favorite one. My favorite one, I did a video, again, it's on TikTok and YouTube, but it's just a dumbbell one, so I'm lying on the ground, and I just place the
I've
dumbbells.
seen that one. You got it on your ankles, or you hold it with your feet.
Yeah, and you curl them up. Because you have to squeeze so hard to stop the dumbbells from sliding, you actually work the inner part of the hamstring, so you just feel it's just more intense than any machine you can use, I reckon.
It's
So,
intense, man. How many sets of reps of that one?
3 to 12. But sometimes, like I said, sometimes I'll just do a progressive overload, so I'm just going to that heavy weight, and then I'll move on and do it again. So it just
I
depends.
don't know if I could do that one. When I see it, it's a hard one.
They can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes it's easy if you've got somebody who can pass the dumbbell to you, if that makes sense.
No, it is tricky, especially when you're by yourself. What about glutes?
When you're a bit of a newbie, yeah, they're hard to grab. Sorry, glutes?
Yeah.
Well, specifically, the glutes is an interesting one because I kind of use my glutes with everything. I've learned to activate mine, so I hit them with squats and hack squats and everything. But let's say, for argument's sake, we'll go like a hip thrust. You know,
how many sets, reps?
I guess it's a. So again, 3 to 12 is a good basic all round.
Excuse me, I sneeze.
Yeah, you're right. Bless you. Yeah.
There you go. My first sneeze on the podcast, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Calves. How do you train calves?
Yeah. So sometimes I'll superset them with a straight and a seated together. If not, I'll go heavy on. I don't know if I have a favorite because I'm not sure if you're aware or the viewers might be aware, but you actually have 2 different calf muscles. So to develop your calves properly, so you got your soleus and your gastrocnemius. So you do one by hitting. So your knee needs to be bent for one.
Yep.
We'll hit one part of the calf, and when you're straight, it hits the other calf. So that's why, like in most gyms, you'll see more than one version of a calf machine.
What's called again?
A soleus.
Soleus, yeah.
And you got the gastrocnemius.
I'm writing this down. Knee.
Yeah.
I'm not going to show how I spelt it, but that's okay. All right. So
That's okay. Spelling is one way.
How many seated? How many standing? Like 3 sets of 12?
Yeah. So again, we can just go 3 sets of 12. But sometimes, excuse me, sometimes I also think the calves like those high reps as well. So sometimes I'll go through phases where I'm doing like 20, 25 reps each.
Okay. Do you do tibialis?
And make them burn.
Do you do tibialis?
Not specifically. Not specifically. I'll do them in my normal. Yeah.
I think I heard Jake
with everything else.
That, so I thought I'd bring it up. Well, it's time to promote yourself.
Okay.
This is your moment. Please, before you do it, let me just tell you, any sponsors, even if you sponsor yourself, where they can find you in person. Do you have a website, where your socials are? Whatever it is, this is your chance to tell people where can they find Jason. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I'm a personal trainer. I'm sort of working between 2 gyms at the moment. So I'm at Good Life in Fountain Gate, which is in Victoria, and Doherty's also in Dandenong in Victoria as well. So I'm at both those gyms, so you can contact me. So the way to contact me is either through TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on all those things.
Under Jason, your name isn't under Jason Nakhla?
Under my name, yeah, they're all just pretty simple, just under my name, Jason Nakhla. And yeah, you can just send me a message, and we can just private message one another, etc., and just go from there. Yeah, I'm pretty approachable. I'm very passionate about what I do. I love helping people. It's sort of one of the best jobs you can do. It's very satisfying when I see people hit their goals and sometimes beyond, and I train everybody. So I've got a lady who's like 54, for example, and when she came in, she had all these health problems, shoulder problems, hip problems, and when I first worked with her, we were just doing nothing but rehab stuff only. So there was no weights, nothing. Now she's killing it. I've got her doing like 120 kilo leg presses with a band, and she's bench pressing 30 kilos, and she doesn't have like any pain, and she can get up off the couch, which she wasn't able to do before, and just all these simple things. And, it's made a big change in her life. And so I train everyone. So I've got school kids, so pretty much anyone and everyone. So no matter what the goal, can definitely help. So I hope this has been interesting for everyone. It's been fun for me.
I hope we've enjoyed you here, Jason. The Holden part is the bit we're still trying to cope with. I might get Chris to.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm here to educate people anyway.
All right. And
I
see you're not only a person that has gone through pain, but you like to accept pain on others by being a smart ass. But that's another story.
I'm kind of well known for it, unfortunately. Yeah. But
I just want to say thank you for joining us on Muscle Talks, Jason.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure. Thanks so much, Steve.
Oh, it's a pleasure.